Okay. Good morning, friends. Good morning, friends. Okay, today we'll start with a new area. So this is one of the most important area as far as costing is concerned. I'll give a broad overview about it and then we get about detailed discussion. The area which we are going to see today is standard costing. Some of you could have gone through this in BCom level. For most of you it could be a new area altogether. Now coming to standard costing, initially we started with the cost sheet. In the cost sheet we learned that the major expenses are material, labor and overheads. We had a chapter on material, we had a chapter on labor, then we had a chapter on overheads which was split into two, ABC based overheads and conventional based overheads. After doing all of that, there is something called as accounting of transaction, which is basically writing journals, ledger and preparing a P&L. That part is yet to be done. So as far as your syllabus is concerned, the first part focuses on cost sheet, the second part focuses on components of cost sheet, third part focuses on accounting of cost sheet, fourth part focuses on methods of costing where you will learn 5 methods, and the last part focuses on techniques of costing, which is what we are starting now with. Techniques of costing, there are 3 techniques: standard costing, marginal costing and budgetary control. Method of costing, you have 5 methods which we will see later on. Now what is the difference between method of costing and a technique of costing is, a method of costing is something which helps you in calculating the cost of a product. A technique of costing is something which helps you in making decision. So all the 3 chapter 13, 14 and 15 is primarily for the purpose of decision making. How do I make decision with the help of costing data is what you are going to learn in these 3 chapters. Now coming to standard costing, this area is also otherwise called as variance analysis. What is variance analysis, how we do, I'll explain in detail in some time. Let's take an example. Okay, there's a student. At the beginning of the year, the student said that he will score 450 out of 500 in an exam. So it could be a quarterly exam, half yearly exam. Somewhere he said that he will score 450 out of 500 in the exam. This was his budget or expectation which he had set at the beginning of the year. In the exam, when it happened, he has scored 460 out of 500. He has ended up scoring 460 out of 500. The plan was to score 450 out of 500. This guy has ended up scoring 460 out of 500. Is it a favorable scenario for the student or an adverse scenario for the student? Okay. Will there be any scope for further improvement or no scope for further improvement? No, when I say scope of further improvement, I am not saying that he should try scoring 500. His objective is 450. He believes that he cannot score more than 450. That is the student's mentality. He believes that he cannot score more than 450, but he ended up scoring 460. Can there be further scope for improvement? Is there a possibility for further scope for improvement? Okay, now what standard costing says is that the company said that they want to earn a profit of 450 rupees. They have ended up achieving a profit of 460. It's a good job, but I'm not sure whether the good job is done by everyone. When I say by everyone, from a student point of view, I'll split like this: subject 1, subject 2, 3, 4, 5. He would have a plan on every subject. He would have split it as 100 in this subject, 90, 80, 90, 9. Some marks he would have split. Now, similarly in the actual you will see some marks being there. So this could be 100, 95, 85, 95, 85, something could be there. So it is not necessary that if you have scored more than what you anticipated, you have done a good job in all the subjects. There is a possibility that your performance is weaker in one of the subject and you will have to improve your score in that subject. That's a possibility. I'm just giving an example which is easily understandable to you. You said that you wanted to score 450. You have ended up scoring 460. Great job. Things are going great. But it is not necessary that everywhere it is going. In subject 5 you have screwed up. You said that you will score 90 but you have ended up scoring only 85, and there is a scope for improving your performance in subject 5. Now the subject 1, subject 2, whatever you are saying, technically for a company this is profit. This profit comes because there is a revenue, there's a material cost, there's a labor cost, there's a variable overhead, there's a fixed overhead. So the company achieves the profit because of 5 different things. I have a target on my revenue, I have a target on my material cost, labor cost, variable overheads, fixed overheads. So whatever profits I'm trying to achieve, it is not that it gets achieved by one person's effort. There are multiple people who are putting efforts to achieve the profit which we are targeting. So we are targeting a profit of 450 lakhs. Let's assume that 450 lakhs could be because I wanted to achieve profit of 1000 lakh. Sorry, I wanted to earn revenue of 1000 lakh. Material cost was so much, labor cost was so much, variable overheads so much, fixed overheads so much. You kind of split the activity and then end up saying that you will achieve a profit of 450. Now, when I gave this example of a student scoring 450, it's only one person's effort, his own effort. Now, if there is a team of students and you are doing an activity, XYZ activity where everyone has to do something. Now, the team could do on an overall basis better than what they anticipated, but still there could be few set of people who are doing a weaker performance, few set of people who are doing a strong performance. Now the objective of standard costing is to reward people who are doing good and penalize people who are not performing better. For example, sales. The sales is better than expectation, so I'll give more bonus to the sales manager because he has done a better performance. But my labor cost ended up being more than what I wanted to. So maybe either my workers are inefficient, my production manager is not able to control the labor cost, or we have ended up paying more. It could be XYZ reason, but somebody has to be held responsible for the performance. So the basic objective of standard costing is that a company will have a target profit at the beginning of the year. You may achieve the target profit, you may not achieve the target profit, both are possible. Even if you achieve or not achieve, just that I have achieved does not mean everyone is doing a good job, and not achieving does not mean everyone is performing weaker. So company may not, so your score could have been 440 here, but still in subject 1 you have done a good job. So you could be incentivized for your good performance in subject 1, or you could be penalized for your bad performance in subject 2. So the performance can be good, the performance can be bad at few subject level. Similarly, from a company point of view, what matters is there are lot of people who contribute to the final profit of a company. If you have done a group project, you will understand the difficulty. When there's a group project, just because one person is performing, it's not necessary that the group achieves its target. You need the performance done from all the set of people. You will know when the performance is done. Maybe if somebody is monitoring your performance, he'll say that, boss, you have done a good job, you have not done a good job. Because of you, the performance of the team has lagged behind a little. So it could be, you can identify that. So basic objective of standard costing is that identify who are contributing to better profits for the company, who are leading to weakening of performance for the company, and whoever is weakening the performance, for them there could be a penalty. Whoever is helping the company to perform better, there could be reward. So the objective of standard costing is to find out what is the reason for variation in profit. Now I will find out what is the reason for variation of 10 marks. The reason for variation of 10 marks is in subject work 0 mark variation. Here there's a 5 mark variation, there's a 5 mark variation, there's a 5 mark variation, there's a negative 5 mark variation. So the variation could be there at multiple places. So the objective is to first find out why variation is happening. Even it could be a scenario where 450 and you achieve 450, but still there will be variation in performance, because there could be in between internal people who are not performed in line with whatever is required. So the first role is to find out why variation is occurring. Your job ends there. In our problem solving, we will just find out why variation is occurring. We do not go beyond that stage. After finding out the variation in performance in a corporate world, for example, there will be a variance called as material price variance. What is material price variance? Is I'm buying my raw material at a higher price than what is needed. When you buy at a higher price, what is going to happen is I will penalize the purchase manager, because he is to be held responsible for buying raw material at a price higher than what is needed. Sometimes my production manager the employees are using more raw material than what is needed, so you have become inefficient in using raw material. So somebody has to be held responsible for anything which happens in the company. So I try to find out why a variation is occurring. There will be target at every level. There's going to be a target. No company works without target. If I don't have a target, nothing is going to work about it. So everything there will be a target. Based on the target, I look at what is the actual performance. Some places it can be better, some places it can be weaker, and you end up penalizing or rewarding the good or the bad performance. Or it is not always penalizing. I may first ask the reason why at all things have gone wrong. For example, the student says, I anticipated 90, but the paper was extremely tough, and that is why I ended up scoring 85. Then there's no point in analyzing further and penalizing the student for that subject. So you may have to find out why at all a variance is occurring. The variance may occur because of certain external factors. Sometimes it may occur because of certain internal factors. Internal factors is something has gone wrong at a company level. External is in the industry. So I was to buy my raw material at 10 rupees, but in the industry the raw material price has moved up to 15 because there's a severe shortage of the raw material, and it has moved to 15, and my purchase manager buys at 14 rupees. I cannot penalize him. He'll say, when the price went up to 15, I have ended up buying it at 14, so there's no point in penalizing me for this. So the objective is get the variance. After getting the variance, I'll call the purchase manager. I'll say, there is a variance of 40,000 adverse on the material price side. Can you explain? He will give his own set of justification. If it looks reasonable, no penalty. If it doesn't look reasonable, there could be some form of penalty which can be there. You may even remove the person if you feel that things are not going in the right direction. So that is what the entire objective of this area is all about. Clear? Any doubts on this? Any doubts in what is standard costing? Now, so from a problem point of view, it starts like this. Now I talked about standard costing from a corporate point of view. You end up doing standard costing to anything you wish to. You can do for any purpose you have. Wherever there is a team of persons working together, there is a reason for a standard costing. Or even an individual person, there can be a standard costing. For example, I keep telling this to multiple students that when you are preparing for a course like this, you should always have a plan in mind. What is a plan in mind is, in the next 5 days, I'm going to do this. Maybe you can prepare a weekly plan or maybe a fortnightly plan, but there should be a plan in mind. When there's a plan in mind, what happens is you get to know whether things are going in the right direction or wrong direction. At least there will be a realization that things are not going in the right direction. So you could have a plan saying that Monday you will read costing this area, Tuesday you will read law this area, Wednesday you will read accounting this area, Thursday you will read this. If the plan is not there, obviously the execution is not going to be there. Let's agree to that. If you are not having a plan, you will end up doing whatever you want to do without any plan in mind. You'll just say that today I'll read costing because that's the subject I like next day I'll read law because that's the subject I like. And some of the people will not like a subject, they won't read that subject itself. That is what it happens. That is what naturally a student's mentality is. So if the plan is not there, you are ended up going to wasting your own time. So the basic objective is have a plan in mind. If plan is not there, things are going to go wrong. For example, when we take classes, we obviously have a plan saying that we are going to complete your classes in 3.5 months, 4 months, 4.5 months. Now, there can be some up and down happen in the schedule. But if I don't have a plan in mind, I say, okay, we'll do whatever we want to do. Day 1, we'll do this class. Day 5, we'll do this class. Day 10, we'll do this class. We'll complete your classes. November exam, let's complete it on October 15. Things are not going to work fine with you. So the point is, you should have a plan in mind. So we always have a plan in mind saying that if the exam is going to happen in May, we complete our classes by Feb, we complete our classes by Jan, we complete our classes by March. So there is some plan in mind, and with that plan only execution can happen. So every company at the beginning of the year will say, okay, we want to achieve a profit of 10 lakh rupees. If you don't have a plan in mind, you are planning to fail, that's all. So without having a plan, it is obviously destined to failure. You are going to have a failure only if things are not if a plan is not there, you can go back and see what did you do the last entire week. If you don't have a plan in mind, most of the times you will not read. The normal logic which comes to the normal excuse which comes by the student is they'll say we have college, so we end up spending time there. We have articleship, we end up spending time there. We have this, we end up spending time there. So you can keep giving X number of reasons which are needed. But if you analyze today, you will say that next Monday I feel that I can spend 2 hours on the subject. Tuesday I can feel I can spend 1 hour on the subject. Now this is a request from my side, please have a weekly plan in mind. Without a weekly plan, you are going to have issues in preparation. And a weekly plan should be something which takes care of multiple subjects, not a single subject. Just because there's a costing test, you cannot be focusing only on costing. Or there's a law test, you cannot focus only on law. Or there's an accounting test in that week, you will focus only on accounting. Nothing is going to work about it. So the point is, every subject, please have a plan in mind so that you end up spending that amount of time on the subject. Think about how much time you want to spend on the subject every week. On Sunday, prepare the plan for your Monday to Sunday for the next week. Most probably you will not achieve your plan. I'm telling you now itself, most probably you will not achieve your plan. The realization will get, one time you will not achieve, 2 times you will not achieve, you will start becoming little more serious after it. So just that when you don't achieve it, you know things are going wrong. As of now, you have felt that everything is going great in CA. I've been doing my preparation, I've been writing my tests, everything is going great. We have so much time, the exams are in May. Then you will say, only 4 months left, 3 months left, 2 months left. And then you start, your pain process will come. Should I write this attempt? Should I write next attempt? Should I write 1 group? Should I write 2 groups? All those questions will start coming in at some point of time. So basic thing is, a plan is extremely critical. Without having a plan, it is obviously a recipe for failure. If you don't have a plan in mind, you are planning for failure. Basic thing is, no plan is like failure. That is what is going to happen most of the times. I'm again repeating it. It is going to happen that way only. Have a plan in mind. If you are interested about certain things, whatever your interest levels are, that you will obviously have a plan. Next week I'll go for a movie, that plan will be there. I'll meet my friends, that plan will be there. So all those plans will obviously be there at your end. But if you are not interested on certain thing, a plan will not happen. You have already chosen to do this course, so that's your voluntary choice. Next voluntary choices, you have come for the classes. So after taking so many decisions, please have a plan in mind so that at least you end up spending every week in a better way. You will obviously not achieve, some of the weeks things will go wrong, few days things will go wrong, it's perfectly fine, because otherwise you will end up wasting the entire 7 days. You will not read at all. You will just see that classes are happening, let me come to classes. In classes, whatever they teach, I kind of understand everything and I'll write my test directly. So things are not going to work that way. Please, please, please start having a plan in mind so that you at least know what are you going to do for the next 7 days. It's only a 7-day plan. Every week plan for 7 days. When you plan for 7 days, some of the planned stuff will again go to the next week because things will not happen. Again will go to the next week. Let it happen, but at least some of the things will get over. Now coming to, from a corporate point of view, they'll say at the beginning of the year, I will achieve a profit of 10 lakh. Now how did they say that is? 2 things. Sales, cost. They said they will do a sales of 20 lakh. Cost was planned to be 10 lakh. This is the plan at the beginning of the year, saying that we will achieve a profit of 10 lakhs by doing a revenue of 20 lakhs and by incurring a cost of 10 lakhs. Your revenue can be higher or lower. That is called as sales variance. Your cost can be higher or lower. That is called as cost variance. The cost variance can occur due to 3 factors, which is what you have learned. Material, labor, overheads. It can occur because of 3 factors: material, labor, overheads. Overheads is broadly classified as fixed overheads and variable overheads. So these are the multiple reasons why a variance in profit will happen. So at the beginning of the year, I say that I want to achieve a profit of 10 lakhs. The calculation was 20 lakh of sales and cost of 10 lakh. At the end of the year, sales turned out to be 22 lakhs. Cost turned out to be some 11 lakh. We have achieved a profit of 11 lakh. Better performance, but still some of them could do better, some of them could do weaker. So that is what we are going to analyze in this entire chapter. Any doubts in this? The you will have a budget and you will have an actual. Standard costing can happen only if a company implements another technique called a budget and budgetary control, which you will learn later on. There's a separate chapter. If you don't have a budget, then there's no point of variance analysis. You cannot say at the end of the week saying that I did not study for XX hours. What was the plan? You don't have a plan in mind, then where is the execution against it? So the plan was to achieve a profit of 10 lakhs. We may achieve more, we may achieve less. Again, if you achieve more than what you wanted, does not mean everyone has done a good job. If you have achieved lesser than what you wanted to achieve, doesn't mean everyone has done a weaker performance. So the point is, always there will be a variation in performance. Most of 99.99% there will be variation in performance, because I estimate it on January 1 and I get to know it on December 31, or I estimate it on March 31, and in April 1 we know next year what has happened in the company. Now obviously there is going to be a huge deviation within 1 year. A lot of things can change in the industry, so performance can obviously be different, because you estimate with certain assumptions in mind and your assumptions goes for a toss because X or the Y thing happens in between. So at the end of the year I get to know why at all the variation has happened. From a corporate point of view, the profit variation can occur because of two things. There is a revenue variation, there is a cost variation. Revenue variation is the responsibility of the sales manager. I'll call this guy and say, boss, can you explain what has happened here? Cost manager, different people will take up responsibility. Material, in the material there are two sides. There is a quantity, there is a price. Price means the purchase manager will take responsibility. Quantity means someone else will take. So there are different people who has to take up responsibility for this. I'll question them, ask them why at all this is happening. You have to give me a justification. Things look logical, I don't do anything about it. Things don't look logical, maybe there's a penalty for him. If he has done a great performance, you also give him a bonus, you also give him a reward. So all those can happen. Any doubts till now? Any doubts till now? Okay, I'll then explain a next important term called as budget, standard and actual. Most of the times people end up using the word budget and standard interchangeably, and that is also right. There's nothing wrong, there's only a slight difference between both. Budget and standard are kind of okay to be interchangeably used. Now I'll give an example. Budget and actual. Budget is determined at the beginning of the year. The budget was to produce 10,000 units and incur a cost of 20 lakhs. The budget was to produce 10,000 units and incur a cost of 20 lakhs. He has ended up producing 8,000 units. We ended up producing 8,000 units because the demand was not there, some other issue. We said that we'll produce only 8,000 units. We have incurred a cost of 18 lakhs. Okay, 10,000 units, 20 lakhs wanted to be incurred, 8,000 units, 18 lakh. The production manager came to me, said that, boss, I have saved 2 lakh rupees for the company. You told me to incur 20 lakhs, I have incurred 18 lakhs. Why don't you pay me a bonus of 10% of 2 lakh? That's the question which this guy is saying. Because you told me to spend 20 lakhs, I have ended up spending only 18 lakhs. So logically give me a bonus of 10% of 2 lakh. Should I give him bonus? Why no bonus? 20 lakh, 18 lakhs. He has produced. So what? So you told me to incur 20 lakhs. I have ended up in. I should have. Which should have been 16 lakhs. Total cost for 8,000 should have been 16 lakhs. So I'll write in between called as standard. What is standard is, how do you calculate standard time in labor chapter? With the help of AO. So any standard is always computed with the help of actual output. So 8,000 units you should spend only 16 lakh. Now this example when I'm giving you, you are easily telling this, but when it comes in a problem, you'll keep getting confused between this budget and standard, and you'll end up saying that pay a bonus on the difference of 2 lakh. That is what the major confusion will be there in this chapter all about. The question I asked, or the question the production manager is saying, you will end up replicating the same in an exam answer, saying that we should pay a bonus because the company has saved 2 lakhs. That is how the question would be worded, and you would be forced to do that mistake. You would be forced to do that mistake. So the point is, budget and standard cost per unit is always same. Budget and standard cost per unit is always same, which is 20 lakh by 10,000 or 16 lakh by 8,000. Budgeted cost refers to the cost to be incurred for budgeted output. Standard cost refers to the cost to be incurred for actual output. Cost to be incurred for actual output. Actual cost refers to the cost incurred for actual output. So this is incurred, this is to be incurred, this is also to be incurred. But that to be incurred is for 10,000. This to be incurred is for 8,000. Any standard is always calculated with the help of actual output. I will not repeat this in the problem. I may end up repeating even 10 times, but still you will end up making the same mistake. So please register it properly in your mind. Any standard, what are the standard you will see? You will see something called a standard time in the problem. You will see standard quantity. You will see standard profit. You will see standard cost. So any standard is always calculated with the help of actual output. Any standard is always calculated with the help of actual output. Be very, very clear about this fact. I did not even teach you about the 16 lakhs, but you yourself understood this. In your problem, the same scenario will be there, but they may give multiple numbers. These are just 2 numbers, so it's easy for you to. So they'll give you 20 numbers. In this 20 numbers, in the process, you will end up making a mistake. So be very, very clear. Standards are always computed with the help of actual output, and variance is the difference between standard profit and actual profit. Variance is the difference between standard profit and actual profit. For example, Bharadwaj Institute has a plan saying that in 1 week we will teach for 20 hours. That's the plan. Every week we have the plan, but we get to know in one of the week there is a holiday. So obviously I cannot be taking 20 weeks. Proportionately the time has to come down. So the budget is 20, but the standard for that week could be only 16 hours. Then I see whether I have taught for 16 hours or not. So that comparison I can do. So your standards are always computed with the help of actual output. It could happen vice versa also. The company could have produced 11,000 units and he ended up spending 20 lakhs or 21 lakhs. So if it's 11,000 units, 21 lakhs. Now the managing director is saying, boss, you have spent more, why should I give you bonus? So then the argument will come, for 11,000 units we should have incurred 22 lakhs and he has ended up incurring 21 lakhs. So there's no point in comparing budget and actual. We should compare only standard and actual, and standard is always calculated with the help of actual output. Be extremely clear about this. Why I am telling you about extremely clear? You have already done labor chapter, still you struggle with standard time. Some of you would have been still struggling with standard time, and the same struggle will continue here. The same issue you are going to see in this chapter. How do you calculate standard? Standard has to be computed always with the help of actual performance. Please register that properly in your mind, because when I ask standard quantity, the problem will be happening, and when I ask standard cost, you will tell 20 lakhs. That's where the issue will start happening. Because after clearly understanding this, because why it is clear now is, if I do a problem now, you will do it properly. But if after 10 problems you would have learned so many things, you will end up confusing yourself. So be very clear on the base concept. The base concept is standard cost is to be always computed with the help of actual output. No confusion on that. Standard cost, standard time, standard quantity, standard profit, be it anything, any standard output, there are a lot of things. Everything will be computed with the help of actual output. What is standard is, I'll have to then ask you, boss, what did you do? You have done this. Okay, for this, how much time you should have taken? I cannot be just like telling that. I can first say that the standard time for a job is so much, but the job involves production of 40 units. You don't produce 40 units and you do only half of the job. When it's half of the job, the standard time will become half of what I gave earlier. So the broad concept is, be very clear on something called a standard. Any doubts on this? Just a minute. So this is the concept I was saying. There's a variation in profit. The variation can happen because of cost side, can happen because of sales side. Sales can be material, labor, overheads. Overheads can be variable overheads and fixed overheads. The example which I had already explained, and another example is the budgeted output is 20,000 units, budgeted cost is 4 lakhs. Actual output is 16,000 units, actual cost is 360. Again an argument, 4 lakh you wanted me to incur, I have incurred 360, why don't you pay me bonus? Because the point is you told me to incur 4 lakh, I have incurred 3,60,000, so I am eligible for the bonus. And the questions will be worded, practically nobody will ask like this, but questions will be worded like this. They will say he believes that bonus is to be paid because he has saved time. Then you will do your analysis and say for 16,000 units you should have incurred only 3,20,000. You have ended up incurring 3,60,000. So no bonus for you. Clear? Any doubts on this? Now we are going to the first area, which is your material variances. Okay, I'll tell you to note down these things. You will have to note down certain charts. So in whatever book you are working on, there 10 pages will be exclusive for the theory on standard costing, and then the problem solving can happen. 8 pages should do, 8 sides should do for theory on standard costing. Listen for some time. I'm not telling you to note down anything for the time being. Listen for some time, I'll give you. Okay, now let's assume there's a chair which a company has to manufacture. Now for chair I have to estimate the material cost. For chair I have to estimate the material cost. To estimate the material cost, I need to know two critical things. What are the two critical things? What is the quantity of plastic to be used, or whatever be the other raw material, whatever is the quantity of raw material to be used, and at what price are we going to buy it. Based on that only I can estimate what will be the material cost. Be it any product, if I tell you to estimate the material cost for a mobile phone, basic thing you want to know is what are the raw material to be used, quantity of raw material to be used, and the price at which these raw material will be purchased. The moment I know these two things, quantity and price, I multiply these two and say that the raw material cost is going to be 40 rupees, 50 rupees, 100 rupees. So the raw material cost is dependent on two things, price and quantity. These are the two things which determines what will be the raw material cost. One part is the price at which we are buying. The second part is the quantity which is needed. Now a product can have single raw material, a product can have multiple raw material also. So even in variances there will be a single raw material problem, there will be a multiple raw material problem. We are first going to start with single raw material, then we'll move to multiple raw material. So taking that example of a chair, to manufacture a chair, I decide that we need 40 kgs of plastic, and each kg of plastic the cost is going to be 200 rupees, some estimation I do. So my material cost is going to be 40 into 200, and then based on that I say that the raw material cost for a chair is 8,000 rupees. Any doubts on that? Okay. Now in order to do a variance, there are a lot of formulae. The formula is going to come from a chart which I am going to explain now. Once you understand the chart, the formula will become very simple for you to do it in the other places. Now this part is called as price, this part is called as quantity. Price will be split into two, SP, AP. SP refers to the price at which I wanted to buy the plastic, which is 400. AP refers to the price at which I actually purchased the plastic, which is 410. It could be either ways. It could be 390, 380, 410. Standard price refers to the price at which I wanted to buy the plastic. Actual price refers to the price at which I have bought the plastic. Standard quantity. Let's take one chair itself. Standard quantity refers to the quantity to be used for manufacturing one chair, which is 40 kgs. Actual quantity refers to the quantity actually used, which is 45 kgs. It could be more, it could be less. So standard quantity refers to the quantity to be used for actual output. Actual quantity refers to the quantity used for actual output. Standard price refers to the price to be paid. Actual price refers to the price paid. There's no concept for actual output and all, because that's a small single number. That's your quantity has to be multiplied with the actual output, and then you get to a number. Now in order to do the variance, okay, sorry, there's a small issue. This is SQAQ, this is quantity, this is price, sorry about it. The other side is price and this is quantity. SPAP will come in the y axis, and here it will come SQAQ. Now I have a computation table which is SP into SQ. I'm connecting two things. I start from SP and connect with the first thing, which is SQ. Again start from SP and connect with the second thing, which is AQ. And then I start from AP and connect only with the last thing, which is AQ. Now why I am not connecting AP into SQ? I don't need that. I don't need that in the formula, so I'm not connecting it. So we start with SP. Just a minute. So SP into SQ, SP into AQ, AP into AQ. So we connect SP with the first item, which is SQ. We connect SP with the second item, which is AQ. We connect AP with the third item, which is AQ. So I have a computation table. Standard price into standard quantity, standard price into actual quantity, actual price into actual quantity. Listen, for some time this will become extremely critical for the other variances. This variance I'll explain in detail. Next time onwards the explanation will keep coming down. So let me know if at all you get stuck somewhere. So that side SP we've connected with SQ, then we have connected with AQ. We took AP and connected with AQ. SP into SQ is called as standard material cost, actual material cost. SP into SQ is standard material cost, AP into AQ is actual material cost. Clear? Any doubts on this? Standard material cost and actual material cost. Now I have few variances. The main variance is called material cost variance. The variation in the cost happened because of two things: material price, material quantity is called as usage. Material price and material usage. These are the two reasons why a variation in cost can occur. Either you buy at a higher price or at a lower price, or you use more raw material or less raw material. So I have a material cost variance, then we have a material price variance and material usage variance. Now if somebody asks me a formula for variance without even looking at the formula, I can tell you a broad formula. Material cost variance is the difference between standard material cost and actual material cost. Standard and actual. Material price variance is the difference between standard price and actual price. Material usage variance is the difference between standard usage and actual usage. Labor rate variance is the difference between standard rate and actual rate. Labor cost variance is the difference between standard labor cost and actual labor cost. You give me a name, I'll tell the formula as standard, whatever you are telling, minus actual, that name. So material price variance, standard price minus actual price. Material usage, standard usage minus actual usage. Material yield, standard yield minus actual yield. Material mix, standard mix minus actual mix. There are so many formula which will keep coming, but the broad formula is standard material cost minus actual material cost, standard material price minus actual material price, standard material usage minus actual material usage. It goes on like that. Now when I come to the formula, material cost variances why SP into SQ is SP into SQ is standard material cost, AP into AQ is actual material cost. So standard material cost minus actual material cost. Now the variation in the material cost can be because of two reasons. One is price, the second is quantity. It could be because of price and it could be because of quantity. Now this part is called as price variance. This part is called as price variance. Why it is price variance is it links SP and AP. You see a SP here. This area is basically the difference between this point and this point. So this is SP, this is AP. This part is called as price variance. This part is called as usage variance. Standard usage, actual usage. Standard quantity and actual quantity. So whatever block you write a formula, whatever block you're writing, you see what are the terms against that. SP, AP. So this is the price variance. This block is the difference between this and this, SQ and AQ. So that is called as your usage variance. Now after understanding this, I'll tell you how to write the formula. Now the formula is this part which you see, this is the answer. This is your price variance. The answer is this part which you are seeing here. Now mathematically I'm going to write a formula saying that I have a big rectangle like this. From the big rectangle I remove the small rectangle. What I'm left with is this part. Any doubts on this? You have a big rectangle. From the big rectangle you eliminate the smaller rectangle, you will be left with this part. Any doubts on this? Any doubts on this part? So I have a bigger rectangle, which is the bigger rectangle is AP into AQ. The smaller rectangle is SP into AQ. Now another point is, it is not necessary that SP has to be lower and AP has to be higher. It can be vice versa also. It can happen either ways. So the formula is always standard minus actual. I don't know whether standard is going to be above or standard is going to be below. I'm not bothered about it. So the formula is the smaller rectangle minus the bigger rectangle. You're still left with that place only. It is a smaller rectangle minus the bigger rectangle. In fact, I'm not sure whether it is a smaller rectangle or a bigger rectangle. If you get a negative answer, it means it's adverse. If you get a positive answer, it means it is favorable. So the formula for material price variance is the smaller rectangle SP into AQ minus the bigger rectangle AP into AQ. Why I am not writing AP into AQ minus SP into AQ is, it is always standard minus actual. And I cannot be preparing different charts for different questions. The chart is just to remember the formula. And I'm again telling you, it is not necessary SP has to be lower. You will see many problem where AP is lower than SP. But I don't want to write AP below and SP, then my chart will not come. So the chart is devised to get the formula. So that is the limited purpose of the chart. So that with the help of the chart, we are going to get the formula. So the material price variance is SP into AQ minus AP into AQ. Any doubts on this? Any doubts on this? If this formula is clear, you should be in a position to tell me the usage variance formula. Again, I am repeating, what happens is this part which you see here is connecting. I don't see anything here, I don't see anything here. I see SP and AP here. So it is connecting SP and AP. Difference between standard price and actual price is price variance. This part I don't see anything here, I don't see anything here. It connects SQ and AQ. Difference between standard quantity and actual quantity is usage variance. Standard usage and actual usage. Any doubts till this? Anybody has any doubts till this? So the formula for your price variance is SP into AQ minus AP into AQ. Now you need not worry why are you doing smaller rectangle minus bigger rectangle. That will all depend on the question whether it is a smaller rectangle or a bigger rectangle. I am not going to prepare a rectangle in a question. The formula has to be remembered by us. So the basic objective of doing this chart is to remember the formula, otherwise you will have to end up remembering 40 different formula in standard costing. So instead of remembering it that way, let's do it through the chart way so that it is easier for you to remember. So SP into AQ minus AP into AQ. Can you tell me what should be the formula for usage variance? SP into it's SP into SQ minus SP into AQ. Why not bigger minus smaller? Because I don't want actual minus standard. I want standard minus actual. I want standard minus actual. So SP into SQ, smaller rectangle, minus SP into AQ, bigger rectangle, leftover portion is this. The leftover portion is this part which you see there, SP into SQ minus SP into AQ. What is cost variance? Is this together. So this together is the smallest rectangle SP into SQ minus the biggest rectangle AP into AQ. SP into SQ, which is your smallest rectangle, minus AP into AQ, which is your biggest rectangle, and you are getting your cost variance. Clear? Any doubts on this? If this is clear, everything else is going to easily fall into place. Every formula will come only with the help of this. I'll repeat again for benefit of all. The point is there are two costs to the material variances. One is price, the second is quantity. So we have written the price this side, which is on your y-axis. We have written the quantity in x-axis. So SP and AP in the y-axis, SQ and AQ in the x-axis. Why am I writing SP first, AP later? There's no logic behind that. This only will help you in getting the formula. So we are writing SP first, we are writing SQ first, AQ later, AP later. I start with SP, connect with the first item. I start with SP, connect with the second item. AP will connect always only with the last item which is there. You will see AP being there at multiple places. It will connect only with the last item. This SP will connect with one. There can be a second item, there can be a third item, there can be a fourth item. It will connect with multiple places. But the AP will connect only with the last item which is there. That's how the formula have been devised. So SP into SQ, SP into AQ, AP into AQ. Any doubts on this? SP into SQ, SP into AQ, AP into AQ. That is your computation table. So there is a chart. From the chart I get the computation table. Parallelly I also get the formulae. Now the formulae part is written here. Material cost variance, SP into SQ minus AP into AQ. Price variance, I have not written the formula, but you can see the chart and tell me what is the formula. SP into, I want everyone's participation. SP into AQ minus AP into AQ. Usage variance, SP into SQ minus SP into AQ. Clear? Any doubts on this? It's always standard minus actual. That is why we take the smaller rectangle. Everywhere it is smaller minus bigger only. Any formula I'm going to do, it's always smaller minus bigger only. So SP into SQ minus SP into AQ. Any doubts on this? So first you will put this chart. Based on the chart, you will write that computation table and you will write the formula chart. These are the three things you are going to do. Some more explanation will be needed, that I will give later on. So now give the heading material variances. Material variances. Material variances. New notebook, how will you manage now? Just check. Nobody would be carrying, I think. You manage with 18, should be possible. Today's.
You said leave 10 pages for theory and then for problems.
Just check. No, whatever I am giving now is to be written in those 10 pages gap. This is the theory part. This is those 10 pages part. Then problem solving will start. So whatever I am telling now is those 10 pages part. Material variances. Material variances is the heading. Scenario 1. Scenario 1. Scenario 1. Single raw material. Scenario 1, single raw material. Scenario 1, single raw material. Scenario 1, single raw material. There will be multiple scenarios. So we are starting with single raw material. Chart, computation table, formulae. The moment you write the chart, you should not see other things. Other things you should be in a position to do it on your own. But still, for the first part you want to see, you check it. But later on, this is the only thing which you should know, how to put this. From this, everything else will fall into place. Just wait for a minute. I write SP, AP, SQ, AQ. The moment I write this, I am almost done with my computation table, almost done with my formulae. SP into SQ, SP into AQ, AP into AQ. That's your computation table. This part is price variance, this part is usage variance. Price variance is SP into AQ minus AP into AQ. Usage variance is SP into SQ minus SP into AQ. Chart, computation table and the formula. write the chart, computation table, and then the formulae. I'll come to it. It's not same. You learn it as you proceed. Actual time SO and AT. Done with this? Friends, please maintain silence. Please maintain silence. Friends, please maintain silence. Can you proceed? Okay, come to write note. Point number one. SP refers to the price. SP refers to the price to be paid. Refers to the price to be paid. Price to be paid for every unit of raw material. For every unit of raw material. And AP refers to the price. AP refers to the price. Refers to the price actually paid. AP refers to the price actually paid for every unit of raw material. Price actually paid for every unit of raw material. Next point. AQ refers to actual quantity consumed in a different color pen. Actual quantity consumed, or underline it. AQ refers to actual quantity consumed. In bracket some explanation. Some question may give actual quantity purchased. Some question may give actual quantity, write the explanation. Some question may give actual quantity purchased. Actual quantity purchased as well as actual quantity consumed. As well as actual quantity consumed. Actual quantity consumed, full stop. In those scenarios, we need to be careful. In those scenarios, we need to be careful about we need to be careful about AQ. In a hurry, you will end up writing actual quantity purchased as AQ. It is actual quantity consumed. Next point, SQ. SQ refers to the quantity to be consumed for producing actual output. Quantity to be consumed for producing actual output. Actual output, underline it. For producing actual output, or a different color pen. Quantity to be consumed for producing actual output. Formula, write this. SQ is equal to AO we had used this formula when in EOQ we used to calculate annual demand of raw material as annual production into input by output. Actual output is nothing but production. Output means production, input means raw material. So SQ is equal to AO, actual output, into input by output. That's the formula. AO into input by output. Actual output into input by output. Clear? Any doubts in this? Now let's get into problems then. Okay, we'll start with this question. We'll start with question 1. Yeah, you leave 10 sides. Leave 10 sides. You will need theory. Leave 10 sides. You will need 10 sides of. Okay, go through question 1. Please go through question 1. Page 132, question number 1. Okay, let's start with this. ABC Limited furnishes the following information: standard, actual, compute all relevant variances. Now, you will see a problem where they'll say material X, material Y, material A, material B, then that's a multiple material problem. This is a single raw material problem. Let's start with this. Working note 1, computation table. Computation table. Okay, now for few questions we will start doing the chart on the side, but later on you can skip it and directly write the formula and the computation table. So as of now, let me do this on this side. SP, you also do it, you know the chart now. SP, AP, For few we'll do it for the time being, but later on things will become clearer and you need not do this. You can straight away write the computation table. SP, AP, SQ, AQ, price, quantity. Now looking at this, let's write the computation table. What is the table? Look at the chart and tell me. What is the computation table? SP into. No, I want everyone's participation. I'm not proceeding ahead. So, whether you understood, you didn't understand, you tell me so that I again explain it. The chart is there. Based on the chart, I told you to give the computation table. How do you write the computation table? SP into SQ, SP into AP into AQ. This is the thing I told you to do. So please do it. I'll not be. Initially, you will have to take a little bit of an effort and try doing it. If you're going to copy it, it's not going to serve any purpose. SP into SQ. SP into SQ, SP into AQ, AP into AQ. Now I will first try to fill this table. After filling the table, we'll again go back to the chart and write the formula from there. The formula is going to again come from the chart. Now how do we fill this table normally is, we start for price from this to this. So that is, I fill standard price and then I fill actual price. Then quantity in the reverse order, you fill actual quantity and then standard quantity. Read the question and tell me what is the standard price. Rupee 1 per kg. That's the price we wanted to pay. So fill that at two places. 1. Standard price is 1. We wanted to pay 1 rupee per kg of raw material. Actual price. Actual price. See it and let me know. Or anyway, I'll give you the number in some time. What makes sense to 0.9. Your AP is nothing but cost of material is actual price into actual quantity. The material cost is nothing but 2,80,000 of raw material into some price. Leave some two lines, right? AP equal to, point number 1, AP equal to cost of materials by materials used. AP equal to cost of materials by materials used. Cost of materials by materials used, which is 2,52,000 divided by 2,80,000. .9. Any doubts on this? What is AQ? What is AQ? Everyone's part is. I am not proceeding in this question unless I hear it from 210 or 280. 210 or 280. It's 280. Don't confuse yourself with 210. That is output. Output is different. Quantity is different. Quantity is raw material. Output is FG. So what we are working is raw material. So the raw material used by the company is 2,80,000. They have given. See, some question will say raw material used. Some question will say raw material purchased. Both are fine. The only problem is both are given. If they give materials used as well as material purchase, then I have to use only material used. Otherwise, the assumption is whatever I purchase is what is consumed. That is the assumption we take. But if both data are given, then AQ refers to quantity consumed. So this is 2 lakh. At two places, 2,80,000. Okay, now come down. Point number 2, SQ equal to actual output into input by output. SQ equal to actual output into input by output. Actual output into input by output. Actual output is 2,10,000. They have said material for 70 kg output is 100 kg. So 100 kg of input will lead to 70 kg of output. Can you proceed? Now come down. Material cost variance equal to material cost variance equal to the smallest rectangle minus the biggest rectangle. What is the formula? I want everyone's participation. SP into SQ minus AP into AQ. Write the formula. Material cost variance equal to SP into SQ minus AP into AQ. 3 lakh minus 2,52,000. Okay, now listen, there's no sign for your answer whether you get plus or minus. There's no sign. What happens is 48,000, it is positive, so in bracket I write F. F means favorable, or we will write A. A means adverse. Rupees 48,000 favorable or rupees 48,000 adverse. If you get a negative answer, we will write adverse. If you get a positive answer, we will write favorable. There's no sign to the answer. It's either 48,000 F or 48,000 A, depending on whether you get a positive answer or negative answer. Any doubts on this? Clear? Okay. Look at the chart and tell me the formula for next. Material usage variance equal to SP into SQ minus SP into AQ. Write the formula and get the answer. Material usage variance equal to SP into SQ minus SP into AQ. Then what is the answer for material usage variance? 20,000 favorable. Then material price variance equal to what's the formula? SP into AQ minus AP into AQ. SP into AQ minus AP into AQ. Can we proceed to the next question? Any doubts on this? Anybody has any doubts on this? So your material cost variance is 48,000 favorable, price variance is 28,000 favorable, usage is 20,000 favorable. Done? Any doubts on this? Okay. Now, before going to the next question, I'll have to explain you what will happen if there are two raw materials. We have done what is single raw material. Now we'll move to two raw materials. Now it can be anything, two or more raw materials. So multiple raw materials, what will happen? We are going to see now. SP, AP, SQ and AQ. This is the term we had used in the last question. Now, whenever there are multiple raw material, an in-between item will come which is called as RSQ. What is RSQ? I'll explain in some time, but an item will come called as revised standard quantity. An item will come which is called as revised standard quantity. The computation table is SP into SQ, SP into RSQ, SP into AQ, AP into AQ, SP into SQ, SP into RSQ, SP into AQ, AP into AQ. Now this part is called as price variance. Can you tell me what will be the formula for price variance? SP into AQ, SP into the entire part, SP into AQ minus AP into AQ. There's no change in the formula. This together, both the blocks is called as usage. Both the blocks is called as usage. So the formula is SP into SQ minus SP into AQ. It is split into two blocks. What are they split? I'll write what are they split into, but the logic behind that I'll explain in some time. This is called as yield and this is called as mix. Why it is called as mix, why it is called as yield, I'll explain in some time. But the two parts is yield and mix. Now looking at this again, I can tell the formula. What will be the formula for material yield variance? This rectangle. SP into SQ minus SP into RSQ. Mix this part. SP into RSQ minus SP into AQ. Cost is the entire part. SP into SQ minus AP into AQ. Price is this part. SP into AQ minus AP into AQ. Mix is this part. SP into RSQ minus SP into AQ. Usage together. SP into SQ minus SP into AQ. Clear? Any doubts on the formula? So the chart, based on the chart you will get the computation table. Based on the computation table you will write the formula. The explanation on mix and yield I will give in some time. Please do this. Put the chart. Based on the chart, yeah, in your theory. Scenario 2, multiple raw material. Scenario 2, multiple raw material. Scenario 2, multiple raw material. Okay. Can you proceed? Friends, please maintain silence. Can you proceed? Okay, now come down notes. Point number 1, RSQ. Now I'll first explain what is RSQ and based on the logic behind that on the mixed variance. Now listen, there are three things: SQ, RSQ and AQ. There can be multiple raw materials. So let's take A and B are the raw materials. The actual quantity utilized, consumed by the company is 400 and 600. We saw the data and we wrote the 400 and 600. The standard quantity based on actual output computation, whatever the company had done, that turned out to be 300 and 600. This is the data based on standard quantity. You computed the based on actual output, you computed the standard quantity. Now what is RSQ is total of actual quantity. Total of actual quantity. What is the total? 1000 in standard mix, which is 300:600. Total of actual quantity in standard mix. Technically 1:2. You'll have to split this 1000 in the ratio of 1:2. The standard mix is 300:600 or 1:2. So the RSQ is going to be 333 and 667. Always the AQ total and RSQ total will be same. SQ total is 900, AQ and RSQ is same. Now listen, AQ is 1000 in actual mix. Actual mix is 40:60. RSQ is 1000 in standard mix, which is 1:2. Both are 1000 only, but one is in standard mix, this is in actual mix. So RSQ is AQ standard mix, AQ in, and the mix variance is the difference between standard mix and actual mix. The mix variance is the difference between standard mix and actual mix. That is where you would have seen the difference between RSQ and AQ being mix variance. RSQ, AQ mix variance. So RSQ is basically standard mix, AQ is basically actual mix, the same 1000. That is also standard mix, but that is 900, that is not 1000. And any variance, no, only one thing will change except for the main variance, which is your material cost variance is SP into SQ minus AP into AQ. Both the amounts are changing, whereas material price variance means standard price and actual price. Material usage is standard usage and actual usage. Material mix is standard mix, actual mix. Yield is a balancing figure, so the other part is the yield variance. You can take it as a balancing figure. So the sub variances of usage was split into yield and mix. The logic for mix is explained here. I'm not explaining the logic for yield as of now, I'll explain later. So the logic for mix is AQ in standard mix, which is 1000, AQ in actual mix, which is again 1000, but this is 333 and 667, this is 400 and 600. So RSQ minus AQ is called as mix variance. RSQ minus AQ is called as mix variance. Clear? Any doubts on this? Anybody has any doubts on this? Now RSQ, right, first explanation. RSQ is the total of total of actual quantity in standard mix, total of actual quantity in standard mix. Example, put these three, SQ, RSQ and AQ. Whatever I have written in brackets also note down. Write this example. Okay. Now write next point. Material mix variance is the difference between standard mix and actual mix. Full stop. Standard mix is represented through RSQ. Standard mix is represented through RSQ, and actual mix is represented through AQ. Standard mix is represented through RSQ, and actual mix is represented through AQ. Let's get into a problem now. Go through question 2. No, so I have used more raw material or less raw material. The cost could have gone up, or there could be two issues. Either the composition in which the raw material was used is incorrect. So you may have used more of higher cost raw material vis-a-vis a lower cost raw material. So what is the reason for the variation? Is it because the mix is changed, or is it because the yield means you should have got 100 kg of output but you got lesser or more? So whether it is production inefficiency, mix is planning issue, yield is production inefficiency. So you'll have to finally again hold somebody responsible. So mix is basically a planning issue, nothing based on the employees. The workers can't be held responsible for the mix part. They would have been told something, they will do whatever you have been told to do. So there could be a gap at the planning end, there could be a gap at the execution end. Go through question 2. Okay, let's start with this question. Okay, they have given details about two raw materials, material A and material B. They have been combined together to produce the product. So this is a multiple raw material problem. Let's first put the chart. Please put the chart in the center. Friends, please maintain silence. If you're not interested, you can walk out. I don't want any disturbance in the class. Not interested, please walk out. Let's write the computation table. What will the computation table have? First thing, SP into SQ, RSQ, and the last item is AP into AQ. These are the four things which will come in your computation table. What are the raw material names here? Okay, in this side, left side, you will have to write A and B here. A, B. Okay, let's first fill price in this order, then quantity in the reverse order. Can you tell me what is the standard price for A and B? 20 rupees and 30 rupees. The standard cost of a chemical mixture is 40% at 20 per kg, 60% at 30 per kg. So 20, 3 places. Any doubts? That is the composition. So what should be the mix between the two products? So the mix is 40%. Basically, to buy material A, you should spend 20 rupees per kg. Material B, you should spend 30 rupees per kg. How much do you use? They have said 40-60 mix. That mix will come in some time. 20 and 30 rupees. ₹20 for material A, 30 rupees for material B at 3 places. AP 18 and 34. 18 and 34. 20 rupees and 30 rupees and 18 and 34. Okay, now in the reverse order AQ, see most of the question SP, AP, AQ will be readily available. What you need to compute is RSQ and SQ. What are the AQ given in the question? 90 and 110. This 189 is output. This is not anything related to AQ. AQ and that 189 has no linkage at all. So AQ is 90, 110. 2 places, 90 and 110. Come down, point number 1, calculation of RSQ. Calculation of calculation of RSQ, underline that. Total of AQ equal to, total of AQ equal to, total of AQ equal to, what's the total? 200. Split that into 2. RSQ of A, RSQ of B. Total of AQ equal to 200. RSQ of A, RSQ of B. A, put an arrow mark down. 40% of 200. B is 60% of 200. A is 40% of 200. B is 60% of 200. 40% of 200 and 60% of 200. The mix is given in the question, 40, 60. So the numbers are 80 and 120. 80 and 120. 40% of 200 and 60% of 200. That is where that 40-60 mix is given in the question. Any doubts on this? Next, point number 2, calculation of SQ. Calculation of SQ. Now write SQ equal to actual output into input by output. Actual output into input by output. How many units have been produced? 1. No, so what is the actual output? Is it 189 or is it a different number? That is actual output. What is actual output? Is it 189 or something else? That's 189. You are not going to bring your loss aspect into that. Your production is 189. Where is that loss is going to come as input output. The input output is 100 by 90. 100 kg of input will lead to 90 kg of output. So the input output ratio is 100 by 90 or 1 by 0.9, any number you want to take it. The input output ratio is going to be 100 is to 90. Any doubts on this? The input output ratio is 100 is to 90. Any doubts on that? 189 kg of output has been produced. So I cannot be changing my output and all. Output is 189. But the input output ratio is 100 is to 90. Any doubts on this? Any doubts on 100 is to 90? So 189 into 100 by 90. They have not produced 210. They should have used 210 kgs of raw material. So I cannot be saying output is not 189 and a different number. Output is only 189. For 189, the utilization should have been 210 kg of raw material. Any doubts on this 210? Split this into 2, 40% and 60%. 40% for A, 60% for B. Any doubts on 210? Some of you look a little confused. Any doubts on 210? 189 is the output. The input output ratio is 100 is to 90. 100 kg of input, 90 kg of output. So 100 is to 90 or 1 is to 0.9, any number you want to take. You get 210, split it as 40 and 60. What are the 40% part?
84.
Now listen for some time. Some questions will ask variances separately for material A, separately for material B and for overall. Sometimes they'll say compute product wise variances. If they ask product wise variances, then I'll have to put a total at every 20 into 84 I should write what it is, 30 into 126 I should write what it is, and then also write the total of it. Because if they ask for the formula remains the same, I'm not going to change the formula. For example, the formula for material price variance is SP into AQ minus AP into AQ. If the problem is silent, can you, okay, first let's put a total. In the calculator, 20 into 84 equal to M plus, use the memory function. 20 into 84 equal to M plus, 30 into 126 equal to M plus MRC, 20 into 84 equal to M plus, 30 into 126 equal to M plus and an MRC. After doing, what is the number? How much?
556.
Okay, then again remove your memory part and again do it, or you will have to manually note the number and do it, whatever you are comfortable. Better to use memory function, better to use memory function and do it. 5460. Any doubts on this? Okay, now listen. Now listen for a minute and then we'll calculate all the variances. Listen for a minute. The question, if the problem is silent, we are going to do only based on the total. So for example, material price variance is 5100 minus 5360. That is how we will get, because if the problem is silent, we'll use only the total number. Some question will say calculate for A, calculate for B, calculate for total. When I have to calculate for A, 20 into 90 minus 18 into 90, I'll get an answer. For B, 30 into 110 minus 34 into 110. For the company, 5100 minus 5360. So for the time being, it's only for the total we are going to do. Now, any doubts till now? The problem is almost over. Beyond this, it's more of a formality. You will have to write the formula and get to the answer. It's only a formality. You take the formula from the chart and get me the answers. Look at the chart. Chart will tell you the formula. Your chart should be there in the side. From there, write the formula and get to the answer. Any doubts on this? Can you proceed? Anybody has any doubts on this? Any doubts in the calculation, let me know. See, the moment the computation table is done, beyond that is just a formality to get the answer. The formula should be very clear from the chart. If chart is clear, the formula will automatically come. For few problems, we are writing the chart on the side so that you get used to it, but beyond a point, it should get registered in your mind. You are now going to write that in exam. Any doubts on this? Can you proceed? Anybody has any doubts on this? Let's move to the next question then. Any doubts? Done? Okay, go through question 3. Okay, let's start. Again, it's a two material problem. So we'll first write the chart, get the computation table, and then fill the table and then get to the various formulae. There are going to be new extra adjustments here. They have finally said assume FIFO for the issue of material. What is the relevance of that? I'll explain as I proceed. So let's start. Put the chart on the side and write the computation table. You put the chart on the side and write the computation table. Please put the chart on the side and write the computation table. It's okay to write the chart 2-3 times initially to just get to used to it. Later on, it's not needed, but initially let's keep doing that. The formula will automatically come from the chart if you know the chart. Can we start? Okay, what's the standard price for material A and B? Please fill it at 3 places. Four and 3. You ignore this AP into AQ for the time being. There is some adjustment to be done there. I'll explain later on. As of now, just ignore that AP into AQ. What is AQ for the purpose of column 3? Read it and let me know. Leave column 4, just leave it blank for the time being. AQ, what is actual quantity? How much? 1000. What is actual quantity? How much? Where did you get 2000 from? Okay, what is the formula you have used? Now, and what am I asking? Actual quantity. You are explaining it with the help of standard quantity. Please understand, the point is, when I ask actual quantity, don't go into 1700, don't go to 15%. I've told you there's no link between actual production. What is actual quantity? What did I give us theory? Actual quantity refers to actual quantity consumed, which is opening stock plus purchases minus closing stock. That is your actual quantity. Opening stock plus purchases minus closing stock. If this opening stock, closing stock was not given, I would have taken 800 and 1200. We would have been done with that. 800 and 1200 we would have taken as it is, because that is what is purchased and same is consumed. So AQ is opening stock plus purchases minus closing stock. Can you tell me what is it for A and what is it for B? 830 and I'm not adding both for the time being. Addition will happen only for the purpose of RSQ. So AQ is opening stock plus purchases minus closing stock. Again, I'm repeating, when I say AQ, people will look into AO. AO is different, AQ is different. Don't go and check at 1700. That is AO. I am talking about AQ, actual quantity, not actual output. And there's no link at all in the formula for actual output and actual quantity. I'm not having any link between these two items. So 830 and 1190. Come down, calculation of RSQ. Calculation of RSQ, point number 1, underline that. Calculation of RSQ. Right below that, total of AQ equal to, total of AQ equal to what's the total? Split into 2, RSQ of A, RSQ of B. Split into 2, RSQ of A, RSQ of B. What's the mix they have talked about? 40 and 60. You will get 808 and 1212, 40% and 60%, 808 and 1212, 40% and 60%. Any doubts on this? Can we proceed? Any doubts on this? Next, point number 2, calculation of SQ. Now you take your actual output. Calculation of SQ. Calculation of SQ. SQ is equal to AO into input by output. AO into input by output. This is the place where your AO will be used to get standard quantity. What's the actual output? Actual output. 1700 into the input output ratio is 100 by 85, 2000 split into 40 percentage, 800 and 1200. Any doubts on this? $800 and 1200. Clear? Can you proceed? Any doubts? Clear? Okay. The pending part is AP into AQ. I'll have to do a separate calculation for this. Come down. Point number 3, calculation of AP into AQ. Calculation of AP into AQ. Calculation of AP into AQ. Okay. Now listen, what is the actual quantity of A we had written earlier? Okay, now listen for some time. 830, they have said assume FIFO for the issue of material. When it's FIFO, this 830 units which I've consumed, first I would have consumed these 35 units and balance 795 is consumed from the current year purchase and 5 is the closing stock. In FIFO method, you consume the opening stock first and then you consume the current year purchases. So of the 830 units from opening stock, from current year purchases, two parts the amount is going to come. From opening stock you got 35 kgs. Current year purchases you have got 795 kg. Any doubts on this? 830 is the consumption. Of the 830, first I consume the opening stock of 35, balance 795 is from the current year purchases. The current year purchase has happened at what price? 3400 by 800. 3000 by 1200. So whatever I have purchased in the current year is purchased at 4.25. There is an opening stock of 35. In standard costing, one of the assumption is whatever is there in the opening stock, no, that would have been bought at the standard price in the last year. How this price of 4 and 3 could have been fixed by the companies? In last year they purchased at 4 rupees and 3 rupees, and that is how the price is fixed at 4 and 3. So what they say is, for the opening stock you will have to multiply with 4 rupees. Why 4 rupees? Because this was purchased at 4 rupees and there in the opening stock. This you will have to multiply with. So I don't have a single AP for the question. The AP is weighted average of 4 and 4.25. That's why I said we will not write AP into AQ. We will do the calculation, put a total of this and write the number directly there itself. So of the 830 units, 35 came from the opening stock, 795 came from the current year purchase. The logic is whatever has come from the opening stock, that would have been purchased at 4 rupees and 3 rupees in the last year. In the current year you are purchasing at 4.25 and 2.5. So the cost is 35 rupees into 4 plus 795 rupees into 4.25. So you will add this and write a figure, and this figure will go in the main working note. Now I have done for A, you will do the same thing for B. Can you do this and tell me the total so that we can write it in the main working note? Any doubts on this? Any doubts on the calculation? 3518.75. Okay, 3518.75. 3518.75. Similar thing you will have to do it for B, and then we'll write the amount in the main column. This was FIFO. The question may sometimes say LIFO or weighted average. So different methods have its own set of logic. Do the same calculation for B. What was the AQ for B? 1190. What's the total of this? 29. 2995. 3518.75. 2995. 3518.75. 2995. 3518.75. 2995. Let me know if there's a doubt here. Any doubts on this, please let me know. 3518.75. 2995. Then you do the multiplication and add it. Six eight. You can take the formula from the chart and get the answer. The formula is going to come from the chart. I don't want to explain anything beyond that. The formula, take from chart and get to the answer. Any doubts in this? The important part is getting the computation table. Once we fill the computation table, the answer is more of a formality. There's nothing much there. You just need to subtract few things, add few things and get to the answer. Let me know if there are doubts here. Can we proceed? Can we move to the next question? Anyone still working? Friends, no discussion please. Can you move to the next question? Okay, I'll move to the next question then. Let's move to question 4. Compute the missing data indicated by the question marks from the following: standard price, actual price, standard input, actual input, material price, usage, cost, mix variance for both the products together is 45 adverse. Okay, nothing much to read in this question. I'll start explaining the problem directly. They have given few variances in the question. For example, one of the variance which they have given is mix variances 45 adverse. They have given usage variances 300 adverse. Now this is a problem of multiple material. So our objective first would be to fill the computation table. When I get the entire numbers in the computation table, maybe I get an answer for actual input, I get an answer for standard input, and then we start computing the various variances. Now in this problem, A's variance has to be calculated separately, B's variance has to be calculated separately, because they have given separate question marks. Our objective is to fill all the question marks given in the question. To fill the question marks, we will have to compute the variances separately for A, separately for B. So let's first start with the computation table. Few numbers will be available, few numbers we have to compute. Let's see how it is possible. Working note 1, computation table. I'm not writing the chart. You want to write the chart, you can write it, or directly write the computation table. Whatever is your comfort level, you want to directly write the computation table, write it, write the chart and then want to write it. Whatever works fine with you. Whatever works fine with you, you want to write the chart and from the chart the formula can come, or if you have the chart in your mind, then you end up writing the computation table. Just write the computation table and leave it. I'll then guide you through the entire part. Write the computation table in the side AB. That's the only thing I want as of now. You want to write the chart and then write the computation table, or straight away computation table. Okay, can we start now? Let's start filling whatever is available. So we have standard price 12 and 15. Actual prices 15 and 20. Standard prices 12 and 15, actual prices 15 and 20. We also have standard input is 50. Standard input is 50. Actual input is 70. This is what is available in the question as of now. Directly available numbers are this. We have just filled it till that point. Okay, my objective is somehow I have to fill the entire part. The moment I fill entire stuff, then we can end up answering whatever the question marks they have given. Now to fill this, I will have to do something called as a reverse working with a variance. There are two variances in the question. I have material usage variance for B. Material usage variance only for B. Can you tell me the formula for material usage variance? SP into SQ minus SP into AQ. I have SP, I don't have SQ. We have SP, we have AQ. If you use this formula, you will get that SQ. If you use the formula for material usage, in the process we will get the SP into SQ. So SQ number will come. So come down. Point number 1, material usage variance. material usage variance. When you're writing for a, you will write it like this: MUVB, MUVB, material usage variance for B is equal to SP into SQ minus SP into AQ, SP into SQ minus SP into AQ. How much is the MUV? Minus 300. For math for math purpose it is minus 300. We used to write it as 300A, but from an equation point of view it will be minus 300. 15 SQ minus 1050 15 SQ minus 1050 is equal to minus 300. 15 SQ is equal to 750. SQ is equal to 50. SQ is equal to 50. Any doubts in this? Clear? Can we proceed? SQ is equal to 50. Okay. The other variance which I have is material mix variance for both products together. They have said both products together, which is on the overall. What is the formula for material mix variance? SP into RSQ minus SP into AQ. Now, I don't have RSQ for both the products. I also don't have AQ for one of the product. I don't have RSQ for three things are missing. There only one thing was missing. We got the answer. But here I don't have RSQ of A. I don't have RSQ of B. I also don't have AQ of A. But that is the only variance which is available. I don't have anything else. So somehow I have to work with this. Any idea how we can proceed here? How will you get RSQ of B? Mix is between RSQ and AQ. Mix is the difference between RSQ and AQ. So, I don't have no RSQ and AQ. Where B, I don't have the mix variance. No, mix is together. Mix variance is for both the products together. It is not for a single product. If it was a single product, what do you say is possible?
Assumption of actual quantity of A is X.
Okay, based on that.
Mix can be found by standard one. The ratio between that is 1:1.
Correct.
So,
Yeah, okay. So whatever you said, this will be taken as X. The moment you take this as X, the total of this is X plus 70. The total of this is X plus 70. So RSQ is total of actual quantity in standard mix. The standard mix is 1:1. So this number is X plus 70 by 2, X plus 70 by 2 and X. So we have everything in terms of X. Finally we'll get a number for X and the entire things will get solved. So I will assume this as X. The total is X plus 70. RSQ of A is X plus 70 by 2. Y by 2? 1:1. 50-50. So the ratio is 1:1. Now come down. Point number 2. Mix variance. Material mix variance. Material mix variance. Underline that. Now right, let us assume actual quantity of A. Let us assume actual quantity of A to be X. Let us assume actual quantity of A to be X. This is point number A. Next, point number B below that. Total of AQ equal to X plus 70. Total of AQ equal to X plus 70. Total of AQ equal to X plus 70. Any doubts on this? Next. Total of AQ equal to X plus 70. Split that into 2. RSQ of A, RSQ of B. RSQ of A, RSQ of B, 50-50. RSQ of A, RSQ of B, 50-50, which is x plus 70 by 2, x plus 70 by 2. RSQ of A, RSQ of B, x plus 70 by 2, x plus 70 by 2. Y by 2, 1:1. 50-50 is the mix. So I have divided in the ratio of 1:1. Any doubts in this? Anybody has any doubts in this? Now, material mix variance is equal to SP into RSQ SP into RSQ minus SP into AQ. The formula will come from the chart. SP into RSQ minus SP into AQ. What's the mix variance given? Minus 45 minus 45 minus 45 equal to, now what is the standard price of A? 12 into x plus 70 by 2. Standard price of B? 15 into x plus 70 by 2, close brackets. This is SP into RSQ. 12 into x plus 70 by 2 plus 15 into x plus 70 by 2. 12 into x plus 70 by 2 plus 15 into x plus 70 by 2. Any doubts on this? 12 into x plus 70 by 2 plus 15 into x plus 70 by 2. Any doubts? Minus 12 into x plus 15 into 70. 12 into x, 12x plus 15 into 70. Any doubts on this? Any part not clear, please let me know, I'll clarify that. SP into RSQ minus SP into AQ. RSQ is x plus 70 by 2 for both. The mix is 1:1. X plus 70 by 2. So 12x plus 15 into 70. I'm not sure. Excel. Okay, ठीक है. Let me know if there are doubts. Any doubts on 40? Okay, then we'll just fill this table. This will become 40. These two will become 55. You need not put any total and all because they have not asked individual variances. They've just they have not asked total variances. Only individual variances are needed. Any doubts on 40, 55, 55? Anybody has any doubts on 40? Some of you look a little confused, so let me know if there are doubts. Which one? हाँ ठीक है, so I'll copy. Any doubts on this table? Just wait for a minute. Any doubts on this table?
Until previous sum, actual input and actual quantity were not the same thing. So why we consider
Actual input and
actual quantity?
same only. Actual input and actual output and actual
Output and
yeah. So the output is given. No, where is output given in this question?
considering input and
If it's output, I'll not consider. So it's input. So input is fine. Any doubts on this? Okay, now listen. You open a working note 2 called a solution. Working note 2 solution. Working note 2 solution. If you have done in the same working note also, it's fine. Working note 2 solution. Any doubts on this table? Now, every question mark you will have to answer. So, point number 1, standard input of B equal to, standard input of B equal to 50. Standard input of B equal to 50. All these are already computed. Point number 2, actual input of A equal to, actual input of A equal to 40. Standard input is 50. Actual input is 40. Then separately you will have to do the price variances. You will have to do material price variance for A separately. The formula is known to you. You will have to do A separately, B separately. You will have to do the calculations separately for each variances. Whatever question marks are there, you will have to. I am not calculating material yield variance because that's not required in the question. Our purpose is to just fill those question marks. Whatever is the question mark, you try to fill that. Complete this. Let me know if there are doubts. We'll end today's session with this. If there are any doubts, please let me know about it.